So there are some massive and big development updates with some of your favorite games out there because of the recent numbers that we've been getting through the CESA. So we're going to break down all of the biggest news with Xenoblade Chronicles and Fire Emblem and what is going on and what this means for the future, especially for the Nintendo Switch 2, but also for current Switch owners looking to get into these games. Now, we are going to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles, the franchise, with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, in addition to Fire Emblem Three Houses, Fire Emblem Engage, and other titles as well. So it's going to be packed full of incredible information that's going to be a lot of fun to go through and talk about the future. But before we get into that, what's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to the video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. And let's go ahead and break down the Xenoblade Chronicles or Xenoblade franchise numbers on the Nintendo Switch. So Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition has been officially updated with the sales from the CESA as of the end of 2022 or so at 1.88 million units. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has jumped up to 2.7 million units, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sits at 1.86 million units. Now, total, Xenoblade Chronicles as a franchise with the main trilogy has sold 6.44 million units since 2017 on the Nintendo Switch. That is by far Monolith Soft's best franchise, best games. There's been no other titles that they've developed in their 20+ year history that has even came close to the success of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, or Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And it absolutely crushes the Xenosaga trilogy from the PlayStation 2, in addition to the Baten Kaitos games that were released on the GameCube, although those are getting a nice remaster from Bandai Namco on the Nintendo Switch this September, so we'll see how those do. I'm hoping that that can get to 1 million units. Now, I do expect a nice sales bump for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming up. The sales that are tracked here are pretty much where Nintendo had them at the end of last year or early this year at about 1.86 million. I don't recall them updating it after that, so it was pretty much just last year, 2022 sales. Future Redeemed did come out this April, and people have been getting back into the franchise, so I expect Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a little bit of a slow tail end here. Good starting out, but slow tail end. I do expect that to jump back up as we do get, of course, more people getting into the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise, finishing up Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, in addition to getting that DLC or being excited to play Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and then get into the DLC. I also think that price drops are going to be a factor here, as Nintendo probably will hit some, I would say, fall price drops for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming up. So I do think that the game will hit 2 million units plus by the end of the year or next year at some point. Now, Monolith Soft did talk about how this will be a stopping point for the Xenoblade franchise, so I wouldn't expect there to be the next game to be some type of big Xenoblade game, although it's very possible, but it's a stopping point in terms of the story. Doesn't mean that the franchise is going to stop. They actually even talked about wanting to continue the Xenoblade franchise at a later time, so I do think that's happening. Now, they've already teased and pretty much stated they are working on their next game, and they want people to be excited for it. They want people to say, hey, I wonder what you think we're working on, because they're obviously working on something incredible. So they're already teasing, or they actually already teased that before, I think last year or so, after the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, there could be a new IP in development, which I've talked about multiple times on this channel. I've got a plethora of videos that you guys can check out on there, but essentially the Cliff Notes version is that there was that hiring for that one post of them for a new type of game, and we saw the artwork there, but nothing has came from that, and that was a number of years ago. That could be some type of evolution of Xenoblade, that could be some type of reimagining or something of Xenosaga, or something different that they're planning to do. And of course, if you've played through Future Redeemed, you know exactly what I could be talking about, or what we could get into here. Xenosaga, that could be getting a remaster or a remake. Now, whether Monolith Soft is involved in that or it's something completely different. Maybe Bandai Namco is handling that just like they're handling the Baten Kaitos games. We're going to have to wait and see on that, but don't be surprised if Monolith Soft is involved in some type of Xenosaga reimagining, Xenosaga remake, Xenosaga remaster, or completely new type of Xenosaga game that has a little bit more to do with Xenoblade in the future. Now, I expect Monolith Soft's next major game to be on the next gen Nintendo Switch 2. I don't think they're making anything else for the current Nintendo Switch model. We could get that revealed at the big Nintendo Switch 2 event. I expect it to be similar to what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at the Nintendo Switch presentation back in January of 2017. So look out for that, guys. Monolith Soft is absolutely cooking, and whatever they cook up, it's going to be delicious, because Xenoblade Chronicles has boosted this company to a whole new level and status. They were fledgling before they got purchased up by Nintendo, and now Nintendo has turned what their vision is, Takahashi's vision, into a multi-million seller, where pretty much every release is a guaranteed 1.5 million units plus at pretty much the full price for the most part. I'm very impressed with what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is doing. That is continuing to tack on sales. The games, I think since they're so long, people take time to play them. So I think Xenoblade is one of those evergreen franchises to where it's not going to get the sales numbers, of course, of some of Nintendo's bigger IPs, but over the course of time, years, it's going to continue selling. We saw that with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and we're going to see that with Xenoblade 3, and even Definitive Edition, which has picked up more and more sales over the years. Now, we have to talk about the other cog in this wheel when it comes to Nintendo's RPG empire here, and that is Fire Emblem. We've got Fire Emblem Three Houses at an updated over 4 million units now, 4.12 million, and Fire Emblem Engage, which these aren't really updated numbers, it's the same numbers that Nintendo already gave us, so 1.61 million. Now, every major Fire Emblem game, this is very important, listen up here, guys, every single major Fire Emblem game released since the Nintendo 3DS has sold over 1 million copies. The CESA sales revealed that Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia hit 1 million copies recently, and that game was pretty much left in no man's land because everybody wanted it on the Nintendo Switch, but it came out as a very late Nintendo 3DS game back in 2017, and it was also a remake of an older game with not one of the most popular lords out there with Alm and Celica. So the fact that that was even able to hit the 1 million mark is absolutely good for Fire Emblem. The brand is incredibly strong because people were revolting against getting that game on the 3DS. They wanted it on the Nintendo Switch, but it still sold over 1 million copies. And as you guys know, a lot of late Nintendo 3DS games just didn't do well. The Mario and Luigi game pretty much bankrupted Alpha Dream, so it was very unfortunate, but that's just how late Nintendo 3DS games were selling at that time. Now, in addition to that, we have the spin-off type of games with Fire Emblem Warriors. We have Fire Emblem Warriors and then Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Both of those games hit over 1 million copies on the Nintendo Switch. And as a side note here, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity has topped 4 million sales, easily becoming the best-selling Warriors game by a large margin. So purely based off of Nintendo collaborations, Koei Tecmo and Nintendo have sold 7 million plus copies of Warriors titles on Switch alone. That is a renaissance for the Warriors series, as they don't sell that much with multiple other entries on other platforms. So very fruitful business there. Now, let's talk about Fire Emblem Three Houses selling 4 million plus. That is incredibly important. It's a very big update here, and it's something that Nintendo is obviously very pleased with, and so is Intelligent Systems, because it's big for the future of the series. Nintendo will invest heavily in the next major next-gen Fire Emblem game. I'm expecting that one to have an Awakening style impact on the Nintendo Switch too. And what I mean by that is more people exposed to the Fire Emblem franchise, obviously improved graphics over what we got before, and a 90 plus rating. That is important too, because we haven't had a Fire Emblem game hit that 90 plus rating since Awakening. Got very close with Fire Emblem Three Houses with its 89, but I think that this could finally be when the technology and the experience with intelligent systems working on HD systems finally matches all up together, and they do get that second part of the visual and presentation combined with the music and the gameplay to create that Awakening style game for a whole new big generation with the Nintendo Switch 2. Now we still have Fire Emblem 4 or Genealogy of the Holy War. That remake is coming. We have to just wait and see. It's going to be on the standard Switch. Now Nintendo might cross-gen it, backwards compatibility, who knows, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a standard Switch game, and it's really late in the life though, so I'm thinking we're probably looking at like a reveal later this year and a launch in early 2024. Now this is similar to what they did with Fire Emblem Engage. They did that back in January of 2023. Apparently that game was sitting in Nintendo's offices for quite some time before they decided to deploy it for early 2023. It was a great game, obviously sold really well, but it's a main game, but not really to the level of a Fire Emblem Three Houses or even Fire Emblem Awakening or Fire Emblem Fates when it comes to what those games do for their respective systems. But I still love Fire Emblem Engage. I think they'll take a lot of the combat and the UI and the display from that into the next major next-gen Fire Emblem game. Now, Fire Emblem has never been more financially healthy than it is at this point. Over 4.1 million units with Fire Emblem Three Houses. Fantastic sales across the board with the spin-offs and alternate games as well. And this begs the question here, will Nintendo ever make that purchase? Kind of bite the bullet and make the purchase of Intelligent Systems as a fully owned subsidiary? I mean, they did it with Monolith Soft, they did it with Retro Studios, they did it with Next Level Games, although that's over the course of like the last 20 plus years or something like that, or about 20 years. But Fire Emblem Studio, the team that makes Fire Emblem, is still independent. They're still their own thing, despite working exclusively with Nintendo on multiple franchises like the WarioWare games, the Paper Mario games, and of course, Fire Emblem. So we'll see what happens there. Now, I'm guessing that Intelligent Systems does like a bit of their freedom kind of operating individually when you have that like super golden ticket working with Nintendo where you get to work on Mario, you get to work on Wario, you get to work on Fire Emblem, you get to work on consulting with Smash Brothers characters. I mean, there's all sorts of cool things that Intelligent Systems does, and they don't have to worry about, you know, big Nintendo breathing down their neck inside the offices and all of that every single day. But I do expect if Fire Emblem continues on this trajectory of continuously getting more and more popular, because we've seen a rise in every single main Fire Emblem game. Fire Emblem Awakening, 2+ million units sold. Fire Emblem Fates, 3+ million units sold. Fire Emblem Three Houses, 4+ million units sold. So if this goes up to 5, 6, 7 million units sold with the next major Fire Emblem game, not remake or remaster, so I'm not talking about the Fire Emblem 4 game, but the next one on the next big Switch, I do think that there could be some moves that Nintendo does make. And it's not like it really matters anyway, right? Intelligent Systems doesn't do anything else with any other company because they're always busy working on the next Paper Mario game, on the next Wario game, or the next Fire Emblem game. So they're working on one of those three all the time. Now we'll see what they do in the future, or if they have a new IP or something else. But right now, Fire Emblem is it. And I would say that the Fire Emblem base always wants a brand new Fire Emblem game, you know, within the next, you know, number of years. Like whenever we don't get a Fire Emblem game, we get a little like, oof, what's happening? When's the next Fire Emblem game, right? So we'll see what they do going forward. But I'm excited for both the Xenoblade franchise in addition to the Fire Emblem franchises as well. This is going to be a awesome ride heading into the next gen Nintendo Switch as Xenoblade or Monolith Soft Intelligent Systems ramp up their projects and get ready to reveal them sometime within the next year or so. I would think we're going to see that because we did get that, both of them, with Intelligent Systems and Monolith Soft in early 2017. Remember the Nintendo Switch presentation for Monolith Soft, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and the Fire Emblem Direct that was held, I think, in February of 2017, where they did reveal that there is a brand new major Fire Emblem game development for the Nintendo Switch. So we could see something more sooner than later, guys. But what are your thoughts on all this? Let me know in the comment section. Also, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other videos right here on screen. We got big updates for your favorite Nintendo Switch games and the top 25 best Nintendo Switch games of all time, my 2023 update. Check out those videos right here on screen. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace.